About 10 months ago, Dr. Stuff and I wrote a Medium article called Omi is My Homie. As I was at the NFT NYC conference this past week, there were many projects there and even a few great ones, but my mind kept thinking of where Ecomi is at with their VeVe app and collectibles and how far I feel they are ahead of most everyone else. Today, let's recap a little of where they have been, look at where they are now, and where they're going. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Rain. And if you like money in crypto and you're looking for a real investor take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family. It's easy to do. Just like and subscribe. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself, and I do own or plan to own most of what I talk about on this channel, including Omi and VeVe Collectibles. Shout out to our Patreon members. We do have a private Discord that our Patreon members get access to. Now, make it rain on that like button. Strap in for the show. Let's welcome our producer, D Money.
Yo, Jay, how's it going, man?
Good. What's up, brother?
Oh, nada mucho. It's good to see you again, kind of in person, right? We're doing these videos again.
For like 15 days now.
I know, and I've been super jealous. Like all last week, I was watching you and Doc there in New York, and learning so much about NFTs and eating cheesecake and having a good time. I was like, I wish I could be there, but it wasn't to be.
I loaded up the Discord, the private Discord, with all kinds of photos, especially from the Batcal event. That was super impressive. Really blown away with what DC Batcals did.
Yeah, it's a super cool project. But yeah, let's dive into it.
Let's do it. Join me, Rainmakers. Sweet. I can't wait to talk about VeVe. Before I do, I want to give a shout out to our strategic partners, Wanchain. They have some of the best cross-chain bridge technology in the crypto space. We've seen huge hacks like the Axie Infinity's Ronin bridge, and it got hacked, losing a couple $100 million. Wanchain has some of the best cross-chain compatibility and bridge technology out there. Now, if you're not familiar with Ecomi, they're the best collectibles app in the crypto space. Obviously, that's my opinion. That also makes it right. Just kidding. I'm very strongly opinionated on that. With some of the very best licenses, and I think you'll agree, Spider-Man, Batman, Star Wars, including Darth Vader. The Darth Vader collectible that just came out is out of this world. They also have the rest of Disney and a lot of other great intellectual property. So let's take a look at some of these collectibles. Let me share my screen. There we go. And we're going to take a look at the Darth Vader one. Now, they came out with 3. Now, as you can see, the ultra rare version here is animated. So we're going to look at the pricing. So it's currently going for about $2,700. We're going to jump over. This is that collectible when you can look at it in augmented reality. So using your phone and the app on your phone, you can put this in your environment. And then if you click on him, this is the ultra rare version. Oh, yeah. That's pretty incredible. Let's take a look at this secret rare Spider-Man. Oh, yeah. Even including the sounds and everything. Can you see why this is some of the best stuff out there? This is the new Jurassic Park T-Rex. That is amazing. Now, I know a lot of the NFTs out there are 2D collectibles that don't move. They definitely don't have sounds. And you definitely can't put them in augmented reality. Still, there are some people that don't understand the power of what VeVe is doing yet because they say, oh my gosh, they're not NFTs because you can't move them off the app onto like OpenSea. Just wait. That and many other things are coming. If you followed VeVe for a long time, you know that there are many features that we have all been waiting on. And I know being in the crypto space, day in, day out, can get emotionally taxing. And sometimes we totally just lose patience. This is human. But when we're on to something big, patience is as critical as oxygen. Let's take a look at this tweet. This underscores how bad lack of patience can go for you when you're onto something big. Thomas Randolph said back in July 2011, well, Bitcoin has stabilized at almost exactly $14 a coin. I'm tired of waiting for a jump. So I'm taking the loss and getting my cash back. Yeah, brilliant move, don't you think? Whew. Can you imagine, D, if you look back and you're like, man, I sold my Bitcoin at a loss for $14 a Bitcoin. Lack of patience.
I cannot imagine. I mean, it's hard enough just to know how late to the party that you are. Like because the reality is we all could have bought Bitcoin in 2011, and I wasn't there. But I think it's almost better to just have not been in the space than to have put that out there. Like talk about like a ice cold take.
Gosh, can you imagine like that kind of history? Now, we all have things that we regret if you've been in the space for any amount of time, but boy, what a seismic difference that makes. And this just shows you how that we can lose focus if we grow impatient, because if you're here day to day, things seem like they take for forever. And I imagine it was feeling like it was taking forever when he was looking at Bitcoin. It wasn't moving for $14. Fair to say, though, he didn't have long-term vision, and he was hoping in the coming 2 months rather than the coming decade, it would make him rich. And so he got burnt out after a couple months, sold at a loss, and cashed out. Now, where are we with Ecomi? Well, Ecomi has just rolled out their web app, so you can now use VeVe on your phone or on your computer. The next step, they're sending out KYC emails. The step after this is allowing everyone to cash out from the VeVe gems back to fiat. If you're not familiar with VeVe, they use gems. So when you move fiat in, it converts to gems, which are what you use to purchase collectibles, both from the store when they initially get released or on the resale market. Now, while doing all of those things and working on going to the app as well, the computer version of the app, and allowing people to get KYC so that they can go the next step, which is being able to cash out, VeVe continues to roll out some of the biggest intellectual property collectibles. Darth Vader was just a few weeks ago. They did a Walt Disney Mickey Mouse, one of the Disney's most sacred intellectual property pieces. They've also done Deadpool, Captain America, Black Panther, Thor, though. Do we really want to mention Thor? We don't love, most of their stuff is like top notch. So Thor came in probably a 7 or a 6 out of 10. But most of these other ones are 10 out of 10s. Batman, Superman, famous artists like Givenchy, and the rumor for going on a year is that possibly Pokemon is in the future. Wouldn't that be amazing, D? I know you got in on the early days of Pokemon cards.
Yeah, and that's the one that everybody's working that is just kind of crossing their fingers and hoping for. Yeah, I used to play. I played the trading card game, 20 years ago, and actually used to have some holographic Charizard. I never had the first edition of the base, but I had a Charizard holographic, and yeah, and no more. So yeah, over the years it just got lost, but I had pretty much the entire base collection, and oh well, it is what it is. But speaking of being short-sighted,
Yeah. Well, back then, right, you were actually using the cards and weren't thinking save and collect them, like a lot of people back then. So we have this app out, and it's doing big things, but if you're paying attention to it day to day, feels like it can be taking forever. Now, if you're new, you might have a few questions, especially if you're interested in this. If I was new in watching this video, the first question that would be on my mind is it worth investing? The second question would be, if I was new and wanted to invest, where would I start? So we'll go through that. Now, question number one, I can't tell you what you should do. What would I do, though? If I hadn't found this earlier and was just finding it today, I would absolutely run with it like crazy. Both collectibles and the Omi token are on a pullback. And I don't know about you, but I like to buy cheap so that I can sell high. Now, I know many people out there like to do it the other way around, and they come in after things have been pumping tremendously, and they buy doing what I call chasing big green candles, or they buy after things have massively pumped. But I'm like allergic to that strategy. I hate it. So, yes, I would absolutely be throwing some money in. Question number 2, what strategy would I use? Well, I would put half into collectibles and half into Omi. But I wouldn't just buy any collectibles. I would be hyper focused on the best ones, especially those that haven't seen massive pumps yet. And I'll give you some examples. So let me share my screen here. And so we're in the app here and we go over to the market. This is some of the stuff. This is a Spider-Man Secret Rare and the Todd McFarlane. These ones are both grails. I would go for the ones that haven't experienced a massive pump yet, because what happens is as people miss out on some things and it goes down the road, there's been a couple different pumps on the collectibles and then a retrace after that. But sometimes your best value, if you're trying to, I guess, grow your portfolio value more than anything else, is you want to buy while things haven't yet pumped. So let's take a look at this. And let me show you one of the best ones that it's had a tiny bit of pump, but it's still very, very inexpensive compared to what I think the value is. And that is the Darth Vader. So the Darth Vader just came out, what, like 3 weeks ago? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, something like that. It might have even been 4 weeks ago. I think it was Memorial Day weekend, if I remember right.
Yeah, so there's the ultra rare, which is already in a higher price point, right? $27.90. There's, let's see, how many of these? Almost 6,000. A bunch of whales came in and bought a whole bunch of these. Why? It's the first Darth Vader on the blockchain. That is a big deal, right? And especially Disney endorsed, Disney licensed. And so you might not be able to afford that one. And that's okay if you don't. And even if you can afford that one, let me suggest to you a route that I would probably take if I could barely afford this one. And it would be for me to buy a whole bunch of commons and then some uncommons. Now, I'm not quite sure which is going to do better in the long run. In the short run, this common is actually doing better. And even though there's more of these, the price is a little bit higher. So it was a blind box. You could only buy the box essentially at $80 and you didn't know, or 80 gems, and you didn't know which of the ones you would get. So you could have gotten a common, an uncommon, or an ultra rare, and they had different chances of you getting things. Obviously, the highest chance you'd get a common. So the prices start at 171. Collectible details. Let's see. I'm trying to see. Okay, there's almost 12,000 editions. The uncommon has almost 10,000 editions. So there's a few more commons. Now, really, I bought some of both because I don't know. I actually like the uncommon a little bit more. But often I see sometimes the common on something so big outperform the uncommon, even though there's usually fewer editions. So I picked up a bunch more of these than I did of commons just because I just like it better how he's holding it. But this one is pretty cool. And it looks like the common is exceeding the uncommon, as does frequently happen in price. And it was trading at about 100 gems. It went up recently to just over 200. And it looks like it's doing a little bit of a retracement now. But rather than buying something like this ultra rare, I would be picking up like 15 of these. Why? Let's say you have just enough gems to get the ultra rare, and you buy the ultra rare at, what was it, 2,800 gems. Then, so 2,800 gems, that would get you, gosh, about 15 of these commons. Let's say it goes up a whole lot, and let's say it goes to $1 million. And you're like, okay, man, now is a good time to take profits. There's this house my wife has her eye on, or my husband has eye on, or whatever the situation is. You want to take profits. Well, so you either have to sell the whole thing or not sell it, right? You can't take profits on it without then losing the collectible. So if you have commons, you can take profits on the way up while still holding one. And I like that strategy. Also, commons often outperform the grail side of it. Now, I say often because it's not always, it just often does. So, some other ones to look at. Well, there's another one that's a favorite of mine that got pretty priced out and it's come back down, and that is Superman. And it ran up really high and it has retraced down to 1,500 gems. It was, gosh, at like 6,000 or 7,000. And let's look at the collectible details. There's a total number of 8,888 of these. Now, had you been around when these first released, you could have bought it for, they released at 50, but also they were reselling on the resale market for about 50 gems. Now, unfortunately for me, I only own 2 of these and my wife owns 1. When they were about 50 gems, I was like, man, I'm going to go on the app store. I'm going to buy like 10 more of these. And for whatever reason, I checked off in my mind that I had already done that. And when I was looking at it 4 months later, I was like, yeah, I want to see what mint numbers I got of the Superman. And literally they weren't there. So I don't know if I dreamed that I did it, what the heck happened, but I didn't have them. So back when this first release and immediately after, they were still trading about 50 gems. So it's way up 30x from that now. It is considered one of the grail pieces. So that's probably the cheapest grail piece that's out there. And it was much higher and it's come back down. So I know that's not necessarily an entry level price. It just depends on where you are entry level. Another one that I think will do well in the future is a Disney piece. And though I don't personally follow the Disney princesses really close, fair to say that if this app continues to get adoption, and they do have the biggest intellectual property, that the first Disney princess on the blockchain might end up being a big deal. And so that would be Elsa. And you can see it's going for 745. Now, I only own 1 of these. I happen to get really lucky on drop day, and I got mint number 42. So I haven't bought more of these. That one having such a low mint number. Essentially, the Ecomi team reserves the first 40 for the team and different things that they're going to do. So the lowest one that you can actually get on the drop is number 41. So number 42 is the second lowest. But I like this one because it's the first Disney princess. Now, will there be a whole bunch of women coming and collecting on VeVe in the future? I hope so. I think so. There are a number of great women that are very passionate about the app today. Will that continue to grow? My guess is probably. All right. Another piece that is really, really good. It's just not so cheap like it used to be, is this Todd McFarlane Batman. Now, this is another one of the grail pieces. It's come way, way down. And so it really depends on what price category. But if you're putting in the realm of 50 to 100,000 in gems, this is definitely one to consider. If this is the total amount that you're putting in, I think the cheaper, less expensive pieces are better, because this one's going for 3,400 start price. Now, back when I first talked about this, it was going for 80, and it was available on the app for months. And I told my subscribers, I said, look, can't tell you what to do, but I'm buying some of these. I think that this is the first Batman on the blockchain, and I think it's going to do incredibly well. It has done exceptionally well. And though it's only 3,400 now, it was recently 16,000. I was able to sell one at, I think, about 12,000. I didn't hit exactly the top, but I got a good price for it. And there are other Batmans that you can get. One that I really like is this one. It's called the Batman Black. Well, it's Batman Black and White, but this is the Batman Who Laughs. And it's going for real cheap right now for 82 gems. I think this went up to like $600. Now, as I understand it, they're going to be releasing, and let's see, I own 6 of these. They're going to be releasing a movie version of this. And this is Batman somehow in another multiverse gets contaminated with Joker's blood or something, right? So you get a mix between Batman and Joker, and he first goes around killing all the villains, and then he goes around killing some of the superheroes. So really a different type of piece, and that's what I liked about this one. Now, its original list price was 40 gems. There are 16,800 of these. So right now, a lot of people are thinking, oh my gosh, there's just too many versions. That'll never be worth anything. Well, what we've seen in VeVe, having been around for over a year now, what? Year and about 3 months, 3.5 months, is that it comes through waves, and we get waves of adoption and then waves of adoption, each time adding more users and adding more users that stick. So though 16,000 seems like a lot, part of the reason that Todd McFarlane sat on the store for so long is that there were 7,500 of them, which seemed like a whole lot. And so they just sat there selling at 80 gems a piece for forever until all of a sudden they suddenly sold out. And yeah, the rest is history. Later going up to 500, then later to 16,000. And now on a little bit of a retrace. Well, actually, a big retrace. Look, you can get edition number 779. Interesting. All right. So if you were a whale, though, and you're coming in with a lot of funds, you might look at some additional pieces. Definitely the Todd McFarlane, definitely the Superman, definitely this piece too. We're looking at the Disney Golden Moments right here. And we already saw Elsa, but they do have this. I would look specifically, I like these ones. Star Wars is some of the best intellectual property out there. And there's a lot of people with money that'll pay good money for Star Wars. So there's a C-3PO. It's currently going for 859 gems. And we have an R2 that is going for 2,200 roughly. Then this is a masterpiece. So this is the Disney partner statue, and it is a really big deal. This is some of Disney's most sacred intellectual property right here. And this is what kicked it all off is Walt Disney partnering, making this little mouse, later called Mickey Mouse. And so this is to commemorate the start of Disney. And this is the intellectual property that Disney is the most protective of. And they decided to partner with VeVe on this to release this. And it is a really big deal. And so currently it's trading at just under 10,000 gems. And I know that seems like a lot for many of you. If you're a whale, it is not a lot. There are whales that own literally hundreds of these. Why? Because they believe in the future value of it so much. All right. Though we could look through this app all day because it's a lot of fun, and I like talking about what I think on these different things. Let's take a look at the Ecomi token. First of all, let's take a little bit of walk through history. So they did a pre-sale in, I think it was early 2018. They later launched, the token came out. None of that's covered by this. We're looking on CoinGecko because it gives us the very best history. And then in the crypto winter, their price absolutely got savage. Now it's hard to count the number of zeros in there, but essentially there are 4 zeros in that price. Right now, there are 2 zeros in the price. So it's come up by about 100x from these lows. For a brief minute, it went to just 1 zero in the price. So it literally went to about 1,000x from the low lows and has since retraced. So we're going to look a little bit closer at basically this time period on using TradingView. So here we have with it pulled up on TradingView, and we're picking it up here on March. Now, back in February and March and April of last year, just about everything in the crypto space pumped. Ecomi pumped a lot because it went from those lows that had 4 zeros in it all the way to 1.4 cents, which essentially has 1 zero in it. So from the bottom, it went about 1,000x, and some people made some incredible money, and they started taking profits all the way up like this. It peaked out at 1.4 cents, even though this doesn't quite show it, and then retraced and hit a bottom all the way on 22nd of June in this big pullback we had last year in the summer. It then ran all the way up to about 0.8 cents, traded sideways, looking like it wanted to break upwards. Then it broke down, coming all the way back down to these lows from before. And actually, with all the FUD in the market and some big projects failing, it even went below. And so a lot of people are asking what's going to happen now. Well, if we look a little bit closer, we have this downward trend here. We broke out of that downward trend. And what often happens once it breaks out, it comes back and tests this for support. And sometimes we'll kind of follow this down and come back down near to these lows. And probably approximately where this red line is the dotted red line, about 0.115 cents is what I'm hoping for. And then it's likely off to the races. Now, many people have asked, well, can this go even lower? And the truth is it can. There's a lot of negative sentiment in the market. There's a lot of worry and fear. A stock market is crashing. It looks like the real estate market is finally turning from a bullish real estate market to a bearish real estate market. And so there's a lot of scared money. And what do people do when they're scared? They cash out to fiat currency. And so though it shouldn't go below these numbers, hopefully it will, because if it will, I'm going to pick up a lot more of the Omi token. Now, for those that are new, what is the Omi token? It is the utility token behind the Ecomi platform. And right now, it doesn't really have a use case other than it does get burned by the team and frequent burns that they do. So the total supply is going down. But what's its real use case? Well, coming soon, they will have the Master Collectors program out, and you can stake Omi in your account to get you higher amounts of Master Collector point and Master Collector status in order to give you a leg up on some of the drops and special drops probably for those that have a lot of Master Collector points accrued. So it will go from not really having a use case that's been in play before to having a use case that's very relevant. And I think once people can stake those and start earning Master Collector points, and then those Master Collector points become valuable in getting maybe a head start on some drops, some very important drops or other things, I think the utility will become very strong from not really having a utility, just a planned utility. And right now we have to look into the future and imagine what that utility is going to be like. And then all of a sudden the utility comes into play. That's when a lot of things appreciate. Now, I know there are many out there that have this point of view, and I get it. I've heard it a lot. Well, shoot, I'm just going to wait till all those things are rolled out, and then I'm going to evaluate and buy. And that's totally fair. You can totally do that. Let me give you a warning on that approach, though. Usually the price is already pumped a whole lot because those that had vision bought while it was cheap. And then when you no longer have to have vision to see what's going to happen, it's no longer cheap. And that's usually how it rolls out, is you don't have to use as much imagination to picture what the future will look like, because the future is now there and all the utility is there and people are using it. The price has already usually gone up a lot. That doesn't mean it won't keep going up. It just means you missed a big part of those gains. That's one of the biggest things of investing. We always wish we could just see exactly what it will look like in the future and buy then for the cheap prices we have now, but that's not how investing works. All right. This is the original Omi is my homie token that Dr. Stuff and I wrote a long time. This is some of the items actually put out there in augmented reality. Just look how cool this is. Doing this with your camera is a lot of fun. Dr. Stuff put these together. I love that one. And so we went through this. You can find us on Medium. Just search Omi, why Omi is my homie, and you will find it. Other than that, wish this was live so I could take your questions. We will be doing a live stream this Friday, so join us for that. And if you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, it is at Crypto Rain. Let me share my screen. At Crypto Rain with 2 N's. Even though I started in 2017, somebody had already taken Crypto Rain with 1 N. So, well, I did the next best thing and added an extra N on there. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, no rain, no gain. And I know the crypto market is slow right now, but just know that good decisions made during these pullbacks lead to life-changing ones when the market turns around. Thanks so much. See you next time.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit. Right before you could, was told to fly when it was pouring like a rain, make it should.